You can work really hard for a lot of years, but you have to understand why you're doing this, right? So if you do have that type of personality, that's great, but you have to make a sacrifice for a couple of years to develop the life that you want. You know, so make that sacrifice. 2, 3, 5, 10 years. Everybody has their own race, but you can literally develop whatever you want in life through the avenue of real estate, which is beautiful.
What's up, everyone? It's Austin Rutherford here. I'm joined with a special guest today, Donnie Ruffin from Dallas, Texas. He got started investing into real estate when he was 20 years old, and he's been doing it for about 6 years now. So you're gonna learn in this interview how he went from starting out door knocking to doing over 40 real estate deals a month. So, man, I appreciate you being on here today.
Yeah, bro, absolutely.
So just kind of tell them, who you are, where you're from, kind of how you got started in the business.
Yeah, so I'm Donovan Ruffin. I'm from Ohio, Ohio.
OH, baby.
OH, all day. Yeah, it's crazy because, Ohioans stay together.
For sure.
I moved to Texas at the end of my junior year in high school and ended up graduating and getting into regular sales, like door-to-door sales, all commission. And
what were you selling?
I was selling AT&T.
Cable?
Yeah,
nice.
Cable and internet and phone service door-to-door.
Okay.
So I ended up getting into that. I found I was actually pretty good at it and ended up scaling it up, and then I ended up partnering with my old boss at the time. Mm-hmm. We actually opened up our own company, and then as we got into that, I started making some more money, and then obviously, started looking into different ventures, and real estate's obviously super intriguing with all the money you can make with it. So ended up getting into wholesaling, did a couple wholesale deals, and just kind of found that it's a very lucrative business you can be in.
Absolutely.
So it's exciting.
So started out wholesaling. That was kind of your entrance into real estate.
Yeah, so I actually started dropping bandit signs.
Okay.
So I'd do that like every Friday after working a 12-hour shift.
Yep. You put them up at midnight?
Yeah, like midnight to like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Yep.
But I was consistent with it, I took it serious. I was doing it like literally every single week. I was just landing like 100, 150 every week and ended up getting my first deal that way.
I love it. I think that's a big thing is the consistency.
Yeah.
People always do one stream of marketing or one week of marketing.
Yep.
They're like, oh, it doesn't work.
Yep.
It's all about consistency. My first deal came from 5 months of mailing direct mail to the same person 5 months in a row. So consistency always wins.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's and that goes with any type of business, or any type of success, and finding a balance in something is just being consistent with it, because once you become consistent, you develop a pattern, and then patterns drive results.
Yep.
Either good or bad.
I love it. I'm gonna steal that quote. You're gonna see it on the picture.
Take it.
But no, that's awesome. So started out just wholesaling from bandit signs, and then what was the process to go from the first deal to a few deals and or starting a team? What did that process look like as far as scaling?
Yeah. Well, it actually took a couple years. So I was actually doing real estate, dabbling with it for a couple months. I was still staying consistent with it, making some wholesale checks here and there. And then
were you still working?
I was still working 100% involved. I was my full-time occupation was just running that company. So I didn't really have a lot of time, and what I kind of found was, wholesaling it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of dedication, and not just money, it's a lot of attention. So I ended up getting into fix and flipping.
Nice.
So after my 7th or 8th close, I was confident in, okay, I understand how this works, I understand the process, had some connections, and then I started taking it down.
I love it.
Yeah.
A lot of people come to me and they're like, I want to flip, so I'm going to wholesale to make money to then flip houses.
Yeah.
I'm curious, on your first flip, did you use your money or somebody else's money?
No, I used private money.
Okay.
Yeah.
100% private?
100% private.
How old were you when you raised it?
I was 20.
How much money?
Well, my first deal, I raised probably 170.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, well, you got to be old and educated and experienced to get private money.
Yeah.
If you know the business and you're confident in it, people don't ask me, when I was younger, I was always scared people would ask me about my age. But if you're confident, nobody asks those questions.
Yeah, and that was huge for me too, because obviously being in sales, you have to have some type of confidence too.
Sure.
So I kind of learned is confidence just doesn't come from being cocky or feeling like you're the best at whatever it is. It's just about knowing your product is really what it boils down to. So the raising money part was actually easier, than the actual process of finding the deal, which is crazy.
Yeah. If it's a good deal, the money comes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you give them an equity split or just interest?
So my first deal, actually, I split it with somebody that had the relationship with the private money. So I split 50% of the equity for the relationship, essentially. So, he did pretty well, and got that relationship, and you know, it was kind of like my intro to
100%.
one of the lenders that I still use to this very day, which is crazy. I didn't even realize how long we've been doing business together, but
that's amazing.
Yeah,
It's never the cost of the money. It's the access to it. So, you know, if you got to give up some equity, don't do that for your entire career.
Yeah.
If you got to do it at the beginning, get into the game.
Yep. So, I mean, it was crazy. He funded everything, the whole rehab, the whole
That's
purchase
huge.
of it.
If you can get 100% funding, like, don't worry about the cost of the money.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, it was like 12% and then like 2 points back then. So yeah, we made it happen, made some money, lender was happy, and we still do business to this day.
I love it. One other thing that people always ask me, like, do you need a mentor to get into this business? How did you get started?
Yeah, so I was actually pretty stubborn for a long time, like the whole mentor, like paying for education and stuff.
You didn't believe in it?
I didn't believe in it, you're right. So what I used to do is I used to just bring value to people that I saw could actually teach me something. So I approached somebody, it's like, hey, what can I do for you? Not in like a general sense, but I would figure out what people would need, and then I would, you know, turn my workhorse on and just bring the, you know, value in the hustle essentially, and then in return they would teach me things.
Love it.
And a lot of times really successful people, what I learned is successful people give back. Like, you know, they share how they became successful, and they want to see other people succeed. I always thought it was like, man, just like somebody's successful, they're not going to teach me. It's completely opposite. You know, successful people love to, you know, share how they got to where they're at, and they feel good about it, you know.
For sure. No, that's huge. It's arrogance, right? If
Yeah.
you're successful, you're arrogant. You don't want to give back. You don't want to help people. Don't get me wrong. There's some people that are like that.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of people love to help. Like we was talking earlier, you're hosting an event for over 1,000 people. You do it every couple months here in Texas. And it's 100% free, and it costs you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to put it on for a free event to teach other people.
Yep.
That's amazing. I love it. And if you're in Texas, you do it quarterly?
Yeah, once a quarter.
All right. Where can they follow you to hear more about that when the time does come for the next event?
You follow me on IG, Facebook, the Donovan Ruffin. Cool. Someone with the check.
And then you'll do like a swipe up story for the next one?
Swipe ups. Like if you follow me on IG, you'll see it.
Cool.
For sure.
So make sure you follow him at the Donovan Ruffin. I went to the first one he did. It's definitely a fun time, and a ton of people. Get 1,000 people out to the event. That's hard to do. So
yeah. Maybe we can convince Austin to speak out there.
The next one, I'm there.
We'll get there, but yeah.
For sure. So started in the business, you know, kind of struggled your way through it for a couple years. Got into flipping houses.
Yeah.
And then when did things like really start to take off? I mean, we said 40 deals a month. That's not easy to do. People are happy to do 40 deals in a year. So what did that process go through? I know we've talked about the growth process.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was running like $1 million company at the time, you know, so I wasn't 100% involved in the real estate. And it wasn't until I started.
The $1 million was the door-to-door sales company.
Yeah. Okay. So I developed $1 million company, and I literally developed a system in real estate where I also was making, you know, about $1 million in a year. It was like 2.5 years in a row where I was like making the same money in both companies, and it was really hard for me to scale. So kind of stood back and, you know, started to look around and see what I really needed to do to like really take off. And I did a couple of things. For one, I invested into education. I love it. So I started going.
Do you still invest today in education?
Big time.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how much I've spent on
hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because it works. It's just like if you pick one thing from somebody that's successful, it's just that one nugget or that one system or that one process or that one connection or that one relationship makes all the difference in the world.
100%.
It's actually how we met.
100%.
At a mastermind. So yeah, and it wasn't just, you know, getting the education from these events, the live events, or masterminds, it was the network. You go to these high ticket events and people would also pay, you know, a high ticket to get there.
Yeah.
And they're obviously, you know, successful as well. And just, you know, surrounding yourself in that environment really helps. That and investing in my education consistently. It wasn't just like one event. And then just making the sacrifice and just like literally instead of chasing 2 rabbits, I'm gonna go all real estate.
Nice.
So once I did that, it was just a game changer for me.
How long ago was that?
It was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So it took me a couple years before I even had the confidence to just like, okay, let's go full time. And then when I did that, it was just.
It's crazy how you had the business, the sales business, you were making money.
Yeah.
And you've had proof of concept on the real estate business, and you see the scalability in it.
Yep.
It's crazy how we always get in our own way.
Yep.
And we're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to walk. I don't know if it's going to work if I go all in.
Yeah.
I mean, you coach a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
Have you ever had anybody come back to you and say, I wish I'd have taken longer to take that leap of faith?
No, man.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, it's completely opposite. And you know what it was, man? It was pride.
Yeah.
You know, it was like I built something for a lot of years, and a lot of people relied on me, and it was very prideful to let it go.
Yeah.
You know? And it was humbling after I did it. You know, instead of giving, you know, people in my organization, you know, 50%, I was able to give people 100%.
Yeah.
And then I realized I was able to help a lot more people in a lot bigger ways just by having, you know, 100% focus versus half.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So what does the business look like today? Like size of team, you know, are you just wholesaling? Are you doing new construction? Are you flipping? Like what does the business look like today?
Yeah, so right now we do pretty much all types of deals. We do wholesale deals, we do retail deals, I have a partnership in a brokerage. We do subject to creative finance, we do development and fix and flipping.
I love it.
Yeah, and we have like wholesaling too, but I guess it's similar to fix and flipping or wholesaling.
Yeah.
Whatever category you want to put it in.
That's awesome, man. So
Yeah.
you've been able to, you know, go from just wholesaling to having like 7 or 8 streams of income in one business.
Yeah. So I mean, when you invest into marketing, you know, you generate a lot of leads. So instead of just focusing on one area and on what can work, you know, you can really get creative. And not only that, you can leverage your competition as well. You know, other people are wholesaling, and if you have the ability to do a fix and flip, now you can, you know, buy their deals too. So it makes the biggest difference in the world by being able to diversify
For sure.
in real estate.
2 things you said there. I always say, like, if you get the deal, you control it, right? And having access to private money is huge because instead of making, you know, $10,000, $20,000 assignment fee, you can make a $50K on a rehab, and you can do twice as many deals because you're buying from other wholesalers.
Yep.
It's a complete game changer there.
Yep.
And we've been talking a lot of your, a nice portion of your deals are coming from other wholesalers.
Yep.
So you're buying some of those deals to flip and you're helping them wholesale their deals.
Yep.
So you're literally making money off of relationships.
Exactly.
It's amazing. and you're helping people mostly in Texas.
Yeah, mostly Texas. It's like one of those things too, like we could go nationwide if we want to, but I mean, there's so much that work that we still need to do just in Texas. So it was easier for me to just really dive into Texas and really master it. We still have a lot of work to do, to be honest.
Texas is huge.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty big here.
For sure.
Yeah.
So if somebody's watching, like, yo, I got a deal in Texas and I'm trying to move it, but I can't, can they reach out to you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Shoot me a DM, get somebody on our team on it right away. We get offers to people in like less than 30 minutes because
I love it.
I understand, you know, talking to somebody that's really motivated, ready to go right now, you need the numbers. So that's where we're able to come in and help.
Time is money.
Yeah.
So if you're in Texas, need a deal moved, definitely hit him up. He might even buy the deal himself. So as far as the team looks like what does it look like? You got project managers, acquisitions, what does that look like?
Yeah, so in acquisition company equity cash offer, we have about 12 people that work in office. So I have a VP of sales. I have a transaction coordinator, which is almost my COO.
She's a beast.
Yeah, she does pretty much everything that doesn't have to do with sales.
Yep.
She does it. And then I have a sales director for acquisitions. And then outside of those 3 people, then we have acquisition team, then we have a JV team, and we have a disposition team.
I love it.
So those 3 people, they pretty much run my whole office. And then outside of that, you know, we have different call centers that we use for marketing.
Cool.
So we have a call center in Costa Rica, we have a call center in Egypt, and then the Philippines. That helps with a lot of the marketing. And even then too, I have 3 people that report to me there. And then in rehabs, I work with probably 2 or 3 GCs.
Nice.
And then like the little jobs, we have pretty good subs that's been with us for a couple of years. So, but yeah, just, you know, those 2 or 3 GCs, majority of the time I talk to them, and then they handle the whole project.
I love it. I love it. So to have a team like that, drive enough leads to the sales and do that number of deals, you obviously got to be doing marketing. What streams of marketing are you doing today?
Yeah, so, which is crazy because the same marketing that got me my first deal, we still do consistently, which is bandit signs.
Yep.
You do cold call really heavy, you do ringless voicemail, voice broadcasts, we do Facebook ads, and that's pretty much it.
You do SMS?
No, we used to do SMS, but not anymore.
Okay. Was it a legal issue or just not a return?
No, it wasn't necessarily a legal issue. It's just, you know, just the amount of time it took to close one of those type of deals.
Sort through all the BS.
And I mean, I see it work really, really good for a lot of other companies. It just wasn't something that my company was good at. So I'm not saying it doesn't work. It just didn't work with our current team and what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And that's one thing, like when you're listening to people, even listening to us, like you might be in Wyoming or something, and what we're talking about marketing wise might not work for you.
Yeah.
That's okay, because different things work in different areas. Like in Ohio, I tried the bandit sign thing. Maybe I didn't stick with it long enough, but it didn't work for us.
Right.
So don't just like, all right, cold calling that. That's it. Because there's a lot of other marketing streams and a lot of other options out there.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's crazy. I was in Mexico this past weekend he just got married, and like, I'm really good at like outbound marketing, and he's really good at like inbound marketing.
Yeah.
The big difference is the cost of lead is significantly higher for, inbound leads,
Yeah.
mailers, PPC and Facebook.
Yeah.
But he's really good at the intake. My team's not the best. So it's just, it works different for different people or different companies.
For sure. Again, one of the questions I get all the time is like, how do I get started? Or if I have $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, what would you recommend to get started in real estate?
Yeah.
My first question is like, what do you want to do? Like cash flow, flipping, wholesaling. And then let's say they say like flipping active real estate, non-rental, active, flipping, wholesaling. What would you recommend the first steps to be?
First steps is I would definitely get plugged in to a local RIA so you can understand, the mentality of people or what people are doing that's actually working, because it's different for every single market.
For sure.
So that's the first thing I would do.
How would someone find a local RIA?
Meetup.com, Facebook groups, even call some of the investors that you probably know and figure out where they're going. There's a local event that I can go to meet some people, network.
Facebook groups are huge,
Yep.
and a local RIA is a local real estate investor association. So networking, getting around people.
Yep. So that would be the first thing I would do, get plugged into some type of community. Second thing I would do is start beta testing in different marketing avenues. And when I say that is, take a portion of money and figure out what you enjoy to do for one, and for two, what works for you specifically. Be consistent with not as many, but find a couple and be consistent to close one deal, and then figure out which one you enjoy the most, capitalize on that, and then beta test pretty much as you can within your budget to really figure out what you're best at. And then once you figure out what you're best at, grab hold of that and just 10x it. Go deep, invest as much as you can into it, because that's how you're really going to capitalize.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, you generated a cash cow. Now you can start beta testing and outsourcing to what you're not best at.
For sure.
Yeah.
So kind of just run down the beta testing. So you got the SMS, the RVM, the cold calling, the SEO, the PPC, the bandit signs, the door knocking, all those things.
Yeah.
You're saying, obviously depending on the budget,
Yeah.
Let's say someone has $5,000,
Mm-hmm.
maybe spend $1,700
Yeah.
on 3 different things
Yeah.
instead of $400 on 10 different things.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And test it out, stay consistent with it,
Yep.
and then see what works.
Yes.
Cool.
That's how I would do. Like if I had to restart, like I know exactly what I'm good at, but it literally just depends on, for one, your budget, and for two, how much time you have.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a big budget, there's ways where you can do it without costing a lot of money, but it's going to cost you a lot of time.
Yeah.
But if you have a big budget, you still have to, put certain things in place, but it's obviously a lot easier if you have money to back it.
For sure. What about the person that's like shy and doesn't like to be on the phone? Every business is marketing and sales,
Yeah.
right? So what would you say to someone that's like trying to figure out if they, they're just nervous to get on the phone?
Yeah, well, I would say if you want to be successful, you have to learn how to adapt.
Yep.
And if you were to find me, at 15, 16 years old, I was a shy guy. I didn't talk a lot. Like I like being by myself even now, but now that I'm in business, I understand I have to be out more. I have to be, the face, or I have to, talk to as many people as I can. So you're gonna have to change that mentality. Like being shy is cool, but like if you really want to be successful, you gotta learn how to approach people, and talk to people. Now, granted, there is ways you can be successful with that, but it's gonna cost you a lot of money. It's gonna cost you a lot of heartache. And to be honest, it's pretty impossible not to talk to a single person, especially when you first start. Yeah, and be successful. So, now I can operate in my business without talking to anybody at all. But it took me, 6-7 years to get to this point to be able to, okay, now I can oversee a lot of things.
100%.
And put people in place so they can do the talking for me.
Yep. I always say get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yep.
I remember the first time I was on camera, starting to post on social media, I literally stared at my phone for an hour straight without clicking record because I was nervous. But as soon as you do it, then like that barrier's broken, you can go past that now.
Yep.
So it's literally just forcing yourself outside your comfort zone.
Exactly. Yeah, it's part of get uncomfortable. Do something you've never done before, because that's where growth happens.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
But, you know, one of my mentors way back in the day, I really looked up to him because he didn't really work a lot. You know, he spent the majority of the time with his family, with his church, and, you know, doing a lot of things behind the scenes. And one of the biggest things that I got from his success was you can work really hard for a lot of years, but you have to understand why you're doing this, right? So if you do have that type of personality, that's great, but you have to make a sacrifice for a couple of years to develop the life that you want. You know, so make that sacrifice. You know, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, everybody has their own race, but you can literally develop whatever you want in life through the avenue of real estate, which is beautiful.
I love it. It's created the most millionaires ever.
Yeah, that's literally facts.
For sure. I know you just kind of left them with a nugget, but one other nugget that you've maybe lived by or you heard when you were younger that really sticks out to you, you know, what would something like that be for the viewers out there?
Yeah, things don't happen, you know, when you want them to happen. Things happen when they're supposed to happen. So you have to be consistent enough, you know, and put in the work over time for you to see that the end of the tunnel after a lot of years of sacrifice, hard work, and time, and sweat, tears, blood. It's gonna happen when you're ready for it, you know? So a lot of the trials and problems that people face, it's literally just a test that God's putting in people's lives to see if, okay, are you ready for the next step? Like, can you handle this set of adversity before I can give you more food for your plate?
For sure.
You know, so I understood that, and, you know, I look forward to, you know, seeing problems and overcoming them and solving them, because the better I got at that, the better I got at it the next time. And I knew once I figured out how to do it, I could figure it out again, and I could teach somebody else how to do it.
Absolutely. That just made me think of a post you made. It was, I don't know, a few months ago, and hopefully it's fresh in your memory because I'm going to butcher this, but it was something about like working quickly. And it was like how productive you can be compared to other people that don't work fast. You remember that post?
Yeah.
What did it say?
So I would rather work 80 hours a week for 20 years of my life versus working 40 hours a week 40 years out of my life. So if it takes the same amount of time, regardless of whatever it takes in the craft that you're doing, why not just do the work now? So, like, I mean, we're gonna, you know, go to sleep eventually, right? So how productive were you today? The same amount of work that you could do today and tomorrow, you could do in a matter of hours, because as we get good at things, we learn how to problem solve, we get these problems figured out really fast, and we just generate ways to knock certain time frames down. So you look at successful people that are young like us, is we figured out, okay, now we're gonna literally work our off long periods of time. And I feel like, yeah, younger people have a lot more energy, but young people also have a lot more time to recoup, right? So what's the worst thing that could possibly happen if you went all in?
You lose it all. We still young.
We have time to recoup it all, right? So one of the best things about being young is our risk tolerance is a lot lower just because we have time to recoup. Now, if we're, you know, 70, 80 years old, can't really make the same risk. Yeah, exactly. So now we have time to, you know, be really productive with our time, but also take those risks while we're young.
I love it, man. I love it. So Donovan Ruffin, where can they find you?
Instagram, the Donovan Ruffin. Facebook, Donovan Ruffin.
Awesome.
Those 2 places.
When did we meet? 4 years ago?
Yeah. It's been a minute.
It's been a long time. Met him at a mastermind. We're both, you know, still growing at the time, and it's just been very, very impressive to see what you've been able to do, and to see you do it and have the freedom that you have. You know, that's what really impresses me about business owners. You know, anybody can make money, but it's you know, how are you making the money, and do you have the freedom with it? And you have a lot of that. So definitely admire you for that, brother. Well, congratulations to your success.
Well, I admire you a lot, obviously. You know, our businesses are very different, but it's cool because, you know, iron sharpens iron. You know, we learn a lot from each other. So
100%, brother.
But yeah.
So definitely follow my man Instagram, the Donovan Ruffin. You know, I'm sure he'll answer his DMs.
Yeah, all the time.
For sure, for sure. So appreciate you being on here, my man.
Absolutely, brother.
Greatly appreciated it.
Sure.
And for everybody watching, thank you for being here. Make sure you hit that like button. Be greatly appreciated. Subscribe and comment below any questions you got. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.